They're going to be looking somewhere for excitement. And that's when they come back. Could be only a year, maybe a year and a half. And I hear them saying, Father, this marriage experience is for the birds. Do something. Their marriage, and I'm supposed to do something. I had a little technique that worked like a charm. I told them, I want you to take a piece of paper, and on that paper you had to put a date that was at least 5 years into the future. They had to agree on the date. For a whole week, they went home and they described exactly how they want that day to go. They couldn't share, just write down how they wanted it to go. After a week, they came back. Then they shared it with me. What I did is to take from their descriptions anything that was either similar or the same and try to construct for them what could be their marriage. Now, if they work on this project over a period of time and clarify it and agree on it, what will happen is this person starts moving in this direction, this one starts moving in this direction, and as they get closer to the goal, they get closer to each other, and they fall in love again. Isn't that a wonderful story? My dear friends, I really believe that most of life's challenges can be solved that easily. But my experience is that people spend more time planning their businesses and their vacations than they do planning their lives. And see, that's what this center is all about. We want the people who come here to understand that they have to take time out on a regular basis to find out where they are and where it is that they want to go. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing during this weekend. You will notice on page 4, there's the beginning of a self-evaluation. Now, those of you who were here for the opening presentation last Monday already have this. On page 9, there is a more objective approach to the self-evaluation, and that goes all the way up to and including page 11. Now, I'm going to suggest that during the time that you have today, either at lunch or maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow morning before you come, if you can start working on this evaluation, get through whatever you can, because what you do in this evaluation will help a great deal when we start setting goals tomorrow. Now, no one will see this material. This is only for you, but it's simply to get you to clarify where it is that you are at the present moment. Now, if you follow those directions carefully, at the end of each section, it tells you how to mark the things that you are satisfied with and the ones that you're not satisfied with. Instructions begin at the bottom of page 8. And then what you do is you find out where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. And you do the very same thing with the second half of that evaluation, which begins on 9. So that when you come back tomorrow afternoon, it'll be a lot easier for you to check out this set of evaluations and find a couple of goals that you might want to achieve. Okay, so just so that you know that's there. Okay. Now, when we're talking about success, the question is, how do you know how successful you are? Well, I think that there's only one measuring stick, and that is action. Of course, if motion toward the goal is how we define success, then you have to look at how you are performing. Or what are you doing? That's the measuring stick. Now here again, this is scriptural. Jesus said not the person who says, Lord, Lord, is going to enter the kingdom, but the one who does the will of my heavenly Father. And you know, in education, we do this all the time. If we want to know how much math a student knows, we don't ask. We give the youngster a series of problems and watch. And as the student works through the problems, we can tell exactly what they know and what they don't know by the way they're performing. It's the same way, for example, in business. If you tell me what your job description is, you don't have to tell me anything. Just let me follow you around for an hour or two, and I can tell you exactly how successful you are by the way you are acting. Now, of course, there's a problem here. Have any of you been in this situation where you knew exactly what it is you're supposed to do, and you just cannot get yourself to do it? Anybody been there? Oh, this is a good class. You know, I tried to find the answer to this. How do you control actions? And it took me a long time. Let me give you a little bit of my background so you understand where I'm coming from. I was born in Omaha, Nebraska, into a very closed ethnic Polish community. We had our own language, our own school, our own church, our own shopping area. We had our own customs. It was like a little Polish village. Everybody knew everybody. And it was really a wonderful place to grow up. In that environment, my dad played 5 musical instruments, never took a lesson, and could not read music, but played professionally all his life. He had his own band. So when we came on the scene, my dad insisted that all of us had to start singing as soon as we could start talking. At age 5, we had to start learning how to play musical instruments. So I'd been in the entertainment business all this time. Just shifted the venue, that's all. So, at age 5, I knew that I should be a Franciscan priest. I was in a classroom, and Sister Simplicia brought in a friar dressed like this. And he talked about what the friars do and their education and all this kind of stuff. And when he got finished, he said, "How many of you want to be a Franciscan priest?" And I put my hand up. I knew somehow that's what my life was supposed to be. Well, you know, I didn't have any problems with making decisions in my life because I knew at age 5 I was supposed to be a priest. Well, when it came time to join the order, which is represented by these knots, this one says that we live with few things and we don't get married. Whoops, tighten that one up. And this means you be obedient. Okay. So I found out when I joined the order that we have a characteristic that is unique to all religious communities in the church. It's called confusion. Franciscan confusion. I'll show you how that works. I came to the order and they said, "Justin, if you want to be a Franciscan priest, you have to have a degree in philosophy." So under holy obedience, I went off and I got one of those. When I came back, they said, "Now you need a degree in theology." So under holy obedience, I went off and I got one of those. When I came back, they put the oil on my hands, made me a priest, and with a degree in philosophy and a degree in theology, they said, "Go to Cleveland and teach music." That's confusion. Now, I had a lot of background experience in playing musical instruments, singing, dancing, making people laugh and all that, okay? I didn't know anything about education. So I arrived at this school, 1,200 boys, and they said, "Justin, you are head of the music department." I thought, wow. I had no idea what that meant because none of the Catholic schools that I went to had a music department. So then they said, "You get to teach 250 sophomore boys compulsory general music." And I thought, terrific. You know why? I was dumb. If you can imagine what this was like for me, In those days, we used to call the seminary a priest machine. If you can imagine a big tube. They put you in this end. And when that door closed, we had no contact with the outside world. No radio, no television, no newspapers, no magazines, just priest machine for 10 years. And then when the door at the other end opened, a priest came out. Now, I was going into the seminary, and my brothers and my cousins and I were all in music. We had our own band. We were playing all the popular music of the day. So when the door was closing, the last popular song I heard was Rosemary Clooney. Some of you will not know her, but she was singing, "Come on in my house, I'm gonna give you candy." You remember that? You're as old as I am. So the door closed. Now after that, we heard only holy music. Chant and Lassus and Palestrina, Bach, Handel, all that, okay? So that when this door opened and this priest came out and I went to this school, for the first time in my life, I heard rock. And I thought, oh my God, who considered this to be music, much less enjoy it? Now with that attitude, I went into the classroom to teach the kids all the music that I knew. Guess what? I had a problem the way the kids were acting in my class. So I went to the veteran teachers. At that time, most of them were priests. I said, "Father, please tell me, how do you get your kids to act the way you want them to in the classroom?" No matter who I went to, they all gave me the same answer. I'm going to share with you what I think is the most mysterious word in all of education. Okay, you ready for this? They said, "Justin, if you want those kids to do what you want them to do in the classroom, you must get involved with motivation." You know why that's the most mysterious word in all of education? Everybody uses it. Nobody knows what it means. They said to me, "Justin, what you need to do is motivate those kids." And I'd say, "Yeah, now what?" Nobody knew what to do. Okay. Well, what happened was, I was doing my undergraduate work in music at the Cleveland Institute of Music. And we had a fabulous professor. The class was experienced music teachers. And he gave us this assignment. He said, "I want you to find a problem that you have in the classroom, find a solution, document the solution, write it up in the form of a term paper, and on the way to the term paper, we'll give you a grade." And I thought, gee, that's easy. Because I knew the problem was the way my kids were acting, and I knew the answer was motivation. So I went into the library. I went through doctoral dissertations, statistical studies, periodicals, everything. You know what I found? Nothing. Because education hasn't researched motivation. So after the semester was more than half over, I'm thinking I'm going to flunk this class. I was talking to a friend of mine who was in management and in sales. And I was telling him about this problem. He said, "Justin, come to my office. I got a whole course on motivation." So I went to his office and he gave me a little briefcase about this big. It was about that thick. And it had 8 cassette tapes in there and 3 books. I took it home and I went through the whole thing in 1 week. I found out 2 very important things. Number 1, motivation is researched by business, not by education. Number 2, motivation is controlled by 2 very tangible and 2 very measurable commodities. One is goals, and the other attitudes. Now look how this works. If you have a clearly defined goal and you have a positive attitude, you will motivate yourself to act in a way in which you'll be very successful in life. Isn't that easy? Simple, not easy, because there's a hitch down here. Isn't there always? It's called choice.